For years, the R series coming from Alpine represents the perfect blend of fun, sound, and trickle down technology from their higher end equipment. And now they've come up with a brand new revamped edition of this very popular series. We've got Eric Brooks, our product specialist, coming to the studio with us today to break it down for y'all. This is CMA Networks presented by SiriusXM, Alpine, and it starts now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and on the menu today is Alpine, and more specifically, the brand new R series from Alpine. Yes, a very popular series because it really is a perfect blend of all that great technology and value for you and your customer. And we're going to learn all about the multitude of different items and categories that this series checks off. Now, as mentioned, we've got our product specialist, Eric Brooks, in the house. Eric, give us a quick overview of what we're going to be discussing today.
Hey, Ben, yeah, we're going to talk about a ton of stuff when it comes to R series. We have speakers, we have amplifiers, we have subwoofers, we even have preloaded enclosures. So we're going to cover it all.
We've got a lot to cover today, but before that, a quick opportunity for our partner, SiriusXM, to remind you dealers out there why you should love it. And when we come back, it's me, it's Eric, and it's Alpine R series.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability.
People love it.
All right, welcome back. Let's dig right in. Now, Eric, R series is a very critical and very important section of the catalog because it represents some important values and characteristics. Can you help break down for us exactly, for our viewers, exactly what the R series is all about and where it sits in the hierarchy of all things Alpine?
Yeah, the R series really gives a great blend of value and performance, right? So it takes a lot of trickle down technologies from things like the status line, and it brings that into a more accessible price point and giving us a great value, a lot of power handling, a lot of output in the speakers, great power output in the amplifiers, and then subwoofers that will really just rock your world, right? They'll knock you down and take your lunch money. So great value in this product line, and it's really a fun type of system to listen to.
You know, Eric, at first glance, not only does it represent performance and value, but the aesthetics have come such a long way. This new R series is absolutely sexy, in my opinion, and we're excited to go through every single one of these categories. And I believe the first one we want to cover is the amplifiers, a whole new selection of amplifiers for dealers to choose from for different applications.
Yeah, Ben, I totally agree. These amplifiers are phenomenal. Number one, they have a much smaller footprint than the previous generation, so they fit in a tight spot. They really have this new cosmetic that's very sleek and rugged looking too. It's really an amazing blend of cosmetic design. They have great power output, all hand-picked components in these, so they sound fantastic. The 4-channel is high resolution certified. The mono amps we have two different. We have a 750 watt mono and then a 1500 watt mono at 1 ohm that plays 1200 watts at 2 ohms. So it's flexible in its design. And don't forget, we still have a 6-channel amplifier that's really cool. It's staggered power, so it allows you to do a lot of really cool things with that R90S amplifier. So really cool stuff there.
Yeah, no doubt. The new amplifiers aesthetically look very appealing, and the fact that the footprint is even more compact, well, I don't need to tell you dealers out there what that means. It's an absolute advantage. So good job to Alpine for the new redesign. Now, having said that, obviously these amplifiers are going to power some speakers. And when it comes to R series speakers, there seems to be two silos of product. You've got, one type that's meant for one customer and another one for another. Can you help break us down the difference between the two?
Yeah, so this new series of Alpine R series products has a Pro version and a standard version. The Pro version, it has some uniqueness to it. It has a aluminum cone or frame, excuse me. And so it's more rigid. It allows for a lot more motor force out of this thing. It also has a fully flexible passive crossover network. So there's more adjustability for the sound with this. So that is the Pro version. The standard version has the same polymer basket that we're accustomed to in our series and that inline crossover network for easy installation. So those are kind of the differences between Pro and standard. But then what the Pro also delivers is a three-way component set that has been asked for a long, long time from our dealers and our customers, right? They want a three-way component set. So this year we have a 6.5, 3, and tweeter in this component set. So it gives us a whole new opportunity to expand our customer base with that.
Now, on the topic of outputting sound, we've covered the full range and high-end spectrum of sound, but what about the low end? Because when we're talking about car audio, come on, you know it's all about the bass, Eric.
You're right, Ben. It is all about the bass, and our series subwoofers definitely deliver. We have 8s, 10s, and 12s available in dual 2 or dual 4 ohm configuration. So you can design your system however you need. And they give great output. There are a lot of really cool technologies in these. There's a patented vent system that pushes and pulls air through the coil, so it really keeps that voice coil as cool as possible and gives for very reliable playback. It has hammer surround, that multi-roll surround that gives great control over the motor structure as it moves in and out very quickly. It has a dual spider. So again, great suspension over this thing. And then a compound radius pole piece. So inside, the magnetic control over that voice coil because of this technology is really incredible. And all of these things add up to great output and great longevity for this product. So they're going to sound good for a long, long time.
Now, those subs, Eric, look absolutely beefy, and there's no doubt in my mind that matched with those same R-Series amplifiers are going to have a phenomenal output and result. But as you know, in the spirit of what we were saying with the amplifiers, we're talking about compact footprint because space is getting tighter. Do you have a solution within the R-Series that could satisfy compact situations for low frequency?
Oh, Ben, do we ever? So we have a new R series shallow subwoofer, right? And I have one right here. So this is the 10-inch R series shallow woofer. And this thing has an aluminum cone. It has up to 20 millimeters of excursion, which happens to be the same amount of excursion as our standard R series 12-inch. So it has an amazing amount of movement out of this. It has all neodymium magnet structure. So very, great control over this motor as it's moving in and out. There are tons of patents and engineering that went into this to make this the spider and all of the internals of the woofer fold within itself, right? So it can reach that maximum excursion. And what's really cool about this too is the fact that you can actually cut through the back of your enclosure and flush this magnet in, which allows cooling and internal bracing of the enclosure that you put it in. So some really cool stuff there. This thing absolutely sounds great. It has a really low FS, so it digs down and dirty. I mean, this thing just it'll tear you up, man. It sounds awesome, and it has tons of output.
You know, we've had a lot of presenters come on and talk about this new shallow subcategory because obviously it's a very popular category that meets a certain need. I will note here that design that the R series has, whereby you can actually not flush mount, but even go beyond putting the inside wall of that enclosure right up against the back in the interest of space, because there is no cooling hole out of the middle. That's a level beyond. So definitely want to give the engineers at Alpine a little kudos for that one. Now, obviously, you mentioned it, so I'm going to call you out on this, Eric. Not only do you have the raw drivers, but there's also a plethora of different enclosure solutions that Alpine is currently fabricating that are ready to go. So let's get into those.
Yeah, Ben. So Alpine's position on preloaded enclosures is we really want to take a premium position. We don't want to be a me too, have an enclosure that looks like everything else. So the first introduction that we had was our Halo enclosures. And again, very unique design. It actually is called Halo because it takes its design cues from our Halo head units, that silver trim that goes around it, that nice black finish on the front bezel. So it really does emulate that design from the Halo head units. And then it has to perform, right? So these are tuned, ported enclosures. They have additional bracing for the R series halo enclosures so that they can handle the extra motor force that R series delivers. And they're really unique in the fact that you can have a single SKU, right? One model, a 10 or a 12, and you can actually have a linking bracket and combine two woofers together, right? So you can go from a single subwoofer system to a dual subwoofer system just by adding this linking bracket. And in the bezel, in the front baffle, it's actually threaded inserts, right? So you remove the woofer, you turn it upside down so that the logos match. You screw it back in. You don't have to worry about damaging the wood because it's a threaded insert. So you get a tight, secure mounting every time. So really a unique approach to these. It has a beautiful Alpine logo on the side. So just another level of preloaded enclosures that's not kind of the Me Too that everyone else is doing.
Eric, you weren't kidding when you're talking about you didn't want a Me Too product. I mean, most people, when they think of enclosures, they're thinking about, a cube with black carpeting on it, right? This is absolutely not that. And the versatility that Alpine has put into the design by linking up more than one, yep, definitely something to show a customer if they're wanting something a little bit more than the average run-of-the-mill sub box. Now, that is the Halo enclosures that we just discussed, but there's also an application, and a very popular one at that, when it comes to subwoofers for pickup trucks, behind the rear seat. What does Alpine have for that category?
Yeah, Ben. So we introduced the Halo truck enclosure, right? And this is again, a unique approach to truck enclosures. Instead of having multiple SKUs for different vehicles, we decided to create this dual eight enclosure solution that rides on rails, right? So this is actually expandable from 40 inches out to 51 inches, right? So for example, if I have a Jeep Gladiator and I want a subwoofer system for underneath the back seat, I would compress this thing in to 40 inches. I take the center feet off so it rides on the transmission hump, and this thing will fit perfectly in a Jeep Gladiator and give us great output. There's a lot of engineering into the port system in this. It has a 32-inch port that's tuned to 36 hertz, so it plays deep. It gives great output, right? So it can compress to fit under that seat. As you expand it out, there actually becomes room for an integrated amp rack. So, as we know, in many trucks, it's hard to find a spot to put an amp, right? Well, as this thing expands out, you can add this integrated amp rack. So, you have a spot for your amp and it fits underneath the back of a full size truck, right? So, if you have a Chevy Silverado or an F 150 or a Ram with that relatively flat floor in the back, this thing will fit and it gives you a spot for your amp. Uh, I've seen it used in SUVs. Compress it down and it'll fit between the wheel wells of an SUV. So this thing is very flexible in how it works. It fits a wide range of solutions. So you don't need multiple SKUs as a dealer to satisfy many customers. So it's more efficient for the dealer and it's very profitable.
Now, finally, we're going about these subwoofer enclosures, we're going from really big down a little bit smaller and compact in the truck enclosures. But what about those really tight spaces? Because not everybody can trade in their space in their trunk anymore. Unfortunately, I do miss those days. But yeah, the reality is, consumers are looking for a compact solution that could fit, maybe be removable. And now that you've presented that shallow sub, I'm knocking on the door here, Eric. Is there a solution for compact enclosures as well?
Yeah, so these R series shallow enclosures are really a great approach when you have a customer that doesn't want to take up a lot of space. Number one, they have rubberized feet that can mount either on the bottom or the top, so it can fit face down or face up, whatever's needed for that consumer. And if it's face down, you can put stuff right on top of the enclosure if you need to, right? So you technically don't lose trunk space because it's still usable space. What's really cool about these is the fact that magnet sits flush on the back side of the enclosure and the grill sits flush on the front side. So you don't lose depth because of a grill sticking out, right? So it's flush on both sides. And what that adds is, number one, a more shallow enclosure, but also internal bracing because it's bolted through both sides using the frame of the enclosure as internal bracing. So this gives a ton of output and you're not losing energy to box flex. So that's another benefit. So this thing can sit down, it can sit up, it can sit sideways, however you need it to go in the car. And it's gonna absolutely give you incredible output out of these amazing shallow subwoofers.
Well, Eric, I think you've done it. Great job in presenting the brand new revised R series from Alpine. If anything we've learned here today is that this is a very complete line. So what final message do you have for dealers when it comes to contemplating what complete line to offer that customer who wants that fine balance between fun, value, and performance?
So the R series is it's such a full line, right? We have different sizes of speakers, so the different applications are all covered in this with great performance, right? And the amplifiers, whether it's 4-channel or the 2 different monos or the 6-channel, can fit every need as far as power and amplification. The subwoofers are incredible output. So all these things, preloaded enclosures that look great. They look custom. They don't look like a preloaded enclosure. And we have different solutions for different applications. But really the great thing about our series is the fact that you get this thing in your car and it just sounds awesome. Right. The customers enjoy the sound. They enjoy showing it off, and the dealers appreciate the profitability that it brings. Right. So there are a lot of great things about our series. And, having this wide range of products really does fill a need for many, many dealers.
That was Alpine's Eric Brooks giving us all the details on the new R series product from Alpine. Now, if you're interested in finding out more details or specifications on any of the products covered on today's show, make sure you check out the official Alpine website. If you happen to be a Canadian dealer tuning in, you probably already know that Gentech International is the distributor in Canada for all things Alpine. On that note, we reached out to Gentech and got a hold of Mr. Gord Brown, who's joining us now. Now, Gord, when it comes to this new R series, obviously what Eric has presented here today is amazing stuff and great detail. But there's also the Type S, and I know you wanted to make a quick mention of why the Type S versus the Type R is also a representation of fantastic value to customers.
Hi, Ben. Great question. You know what? Type S has been around for a long time under the Alpine's banner of products for amplifiers, speakers, and subwoofers. The S2 series has just recently launched. It's a full assortment lineup for amplifiers, speaks, subs, enclosures. All of them really speak to a brand image that Alpine has portrayed. But let's face it. I mean, at the end of the day, these are Alpine speakers, amps, and subs. They're all high-res certified. They have great sound quality. They've come from the DNA of what was used to be the R series. So at the end of the day, you've got compact, good-looking amplifiers at a premium price as far as coming into that budget range. Speakers that sound good, look good, suit all the applications, right up to and including a brand new 8-inch component package. And subwoofers that obviously come in raw sizes 8, 10, and 12, but also in those fancy Halo driver boxes that really set them apart as far as a complete series of speakers.
So now that we understand the value in Type S, I'd like to hear your comments as far as how you feel dealers should interpret all the great information that was presented by Eric today when it comes to the new Type R series.
Hey, Ben, you know what? I really think that this is an opportunity for all dealers to really separate themselves as far as what the difference is from an entry-level series of speakers like, say, the Type S to what we're presenting as a package and a value proposition in the Type R. The R2 series, all new as far as their amplifiers go, monstrous amount of power packed into a tiny little box, and the pounds per square inch as far as true wattage and real power output is incredible. Marry that into a completely redesigned R series of speakers, not little speakers squished into tiny little packages to sit a price point, but instead an actual speaker solution that's made to fit into specific applications and produce a thunderous amount of power. Layer that on top of subwoofers that come in both slim and standard, and of course in self-built enclosures. The R2 series of speakers is a completely new version of speaker that will blow your mind away as far as what they're delivering at those incredible price points that come with an Alpine badge on the box.
I want to take this opportunity to thank both my guests today, both Eric Brooks from Alpine as well as Gord Brown from Gentech. And here's my final comments and thoughts about our presentation today. Alpine, obviously a very recognized and prestigious brand within car audio, but the lengths and resources that they have put towards developing proper lines within Alpine to be able to offer dealers a selection that they can then pass on to their customers is pretty remarkable. Our series is in absolutely every way a complete line, from speakers to subwoofers to enclosures to amplifiers. And not only is it a complete line, they are meant to work with one another and aesthetically are perfectly matched with one another as well. So when you're talking to a customer, take a look at the R series. It's got some really unique features, especially in the enclosures, and offers solutions such as the shallow subs as well as the 2 different lines of speakers. And I think that in itself is definitely worth a closer look. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.